How's it going, everybody? I'm Irish Benjamin 57,
And I am ND Sean 45.
and together we make up the Two Irish Brothers. So, hope everybody is having a fantastic day. I know we are. So, let's get down to business, Sean.
Yes. First off, people, we decided to not do a live stream this week. And as a matter of fact, Ben and I have a little announcement to make. It's not a big one, nothing life changing, but we're going to take a little break on the live streams for a while and get back to making recorded videos like this one. However, and Ben, I told you this off camera, I'm going to keep all the StreamYard upgrades because this stuff is cool as hell, man. I love this. Yeah. I love being able to use whatever background we want, our logo up in the corner. And plus, I also love using the ticker, or what's it called here? Let me see.
That sounds right, the ticker.
Let me see if I can find it. Where is it at? I just had it. Oh, no, a banner. Excuse me. Banner. Oh, shoot, I forgot to put this together, but give me a break here. So yeah, using a banner or a ticker like this.
That was for $200 one time. Okay, $200.
No, actually, you do pay for this a month, but it's totally worth it to do all the new stuff that we can on here. But no, I would not have tickers like that to make fun of you all the time. That was a one-time deal. So, all right. Well, anyway, so yeah, we're taking a break from the live streams, but that doesn't mean we're going away. We're going to be around quite a bit, and actually, we have a big surprise coming up for you guys in a few weeks or whenever. We don't exactly know yet, but you guys are going to want to stick around for that. But that's all we're going to say about it. So with that said, getting down to business, and actually, Ben, this is not something we discussed, but I want to play this real quick for the people. And we're not going to talk about it, but here it is. All right, now look, don't get the wrong idea. We're not discussing casket sledding again, but I wanted to ask you, the people, this question. This is a little trivia, and I know you guys can Google it, but tell me this. What is that song and who sings it? There's a trivia. I don't even know if you know, do you, Ben?
I do not know, so.
Well, all I can say...
We'll await the answer, that's for sure.
All I can say is... a couple years ago up in Dubuque, Iowa, I saw this guy live, and he was the co-headliner with the Steve Miller Band, and then the first group on the card, I guess you could say, that night, Pure Prairie League, the guys that sing Amy, what you wanna do. So it was a pretty good show that night. But anyway, so getting down to further business, Ben and I have decided to shake things up a bit, and we have decided to make our projections for the college football top 25 when they come out before the season. So Ben, let's get right into it, baby. Here we go. All right, Ben, you and I both have our top 25 written down. And we also both have some on the brink candidates.
Yep.
Yep. So how do you want to do this? Do you want to do just top 25 and on the way up?
Sure. That sounds good.
All right.
Top and go down. So.
No, go down from the bottom and go up.
We can do that. That's fine. Yeah, I like that.
Because I thought it'd be fun if we
mix it up a little bit.
Mix it up, compare and contrast.
Kind of do how they do the playoff format. Release number 4 and go on up. That's fine. I like that.
Yeah, moving on up like the freaking Jeffersons, man. No, moving on up. All right, enough of that crap. And I'm talking about my singing, not the show. All right. Well, Ben, so we'll start at number 25. I will give you the honors.
All right. A team that I don't think a lot of people pay a lot of attention to, in our neck of the woods, but on the West Coast, the oldest actual West Coast university, San Jose State, rounds the top 25 out at number 25 for me.
Interesting.
San Jose State Spartans. They had a really good season last year. People really didn't see how good they really were. So they kind of flew under the radar. So they come in at number 25 for me.
All right. And just to let everybody know, I can't speak for you, Ben. I can only speak for myself, but I'm just going strictly with my gut instinct and going with last year's records and going with what teams lost and what they still have, at least doing my best anyway. So that just for the record there. But number 25 for me is the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers.
Yep. I like it.
I just think it's only fitting that they get a spot in the top 25 to start the year because they really kind of came out of nowhere and ended up having a nice season. Granted, you could say that COVID kind of helped out with that to a degree.
Yeah.
But still, though, this is a team that played hard all season long, and they deserve to start in the top 25. And I was almost thinking about putting them a little higher, but you'll see as we go along, there's some teams that are a little more deserving.
Yeah. Well, in final rankings, according to a lot of people, they did come in at number 11. So, yes. I mean, anytime you go undefeated in your season, I don't care whether you're in the SEC or the non-SEC, you're doing pretty well. So, definitely agree with you there. On mine, coming in at number 24 is the Nittany Lions of Penn State. Kind of had a down year last year. I think COVID played a pretty big role in that. But when you come out of a pretty powerful conference like the Big Ten, you're on the up and up again. So I give Penn State the number 24 spot.
Interesting. This is where things really start to get shaken up, how different things are, and I love this. For number 24, I have the Washington Huskies. I thought they had a pretty good season last year. Not the best, but I think this is the year where they can pull in some more. They pull in some more talent. They have some things in place already. So I think based on that, they will start the season at number 24.
Nice. I see. I gotcha. Number 23 is another team that kind of flew under the radar. A team that kind of came out of nowhere, and I think COVID kind of helped them a little bit. But University of Liberty comes in at number 23 for me. The Flames of Liberty. They had a really, really good season last year. People forget how good they actually were, and once again, kind of going to, with you and Coastal Carolina. Anytime that you have that good of a season, you deserve some recognition.
Absolutely, I agree with that. That's a team that I didn't think a whole lot about, but you got a good point there. Number 23 for me is the Utes of Utah. Now Utah, they've always been a team like this. They always they usually do find their way into the top 25 to start the year. They start moving up, but then there's some times where they take a step back. But regardless, they played pretty well to earn a spot in the high 20s.
I gotcha. I like it. Coming in at number 22 for me is the Iowa Hawkeyes. Another Big Ten team that kind of had a down year last year. And like I said, with Penn State, I think it's the same situation, kind of due to COVID and a late start and all that, kind of mucked up their system and all that. So the Hawkeyes come in at number 22 for me.
Interesting. Very interesting. But of course, I don't want to give away too much. Number 22 for me, I also have a Big Ten team in that slot, the Indiana Hoosiers. Now, this is a team that is on the rise, but I'm not confident enough just yet to start them in the top 15. But 22 is a good spot for them.
Gotcha. Coming in at number 21 for me is one of Notre Dame's biggest rivals, and that is USC, the Trojans. They finished the season 5-1 last year, so they played a very small schedule due to COVID, and also, of course, due to how strict California was with COVID restrictions and stuff. But a 5-1 record is nothing to scoff at. So I have them in the number 21 spot.
Yeah, that's a pretty fair call too. I mean, you played less games than a lot of the other teams in the country. You should be down there a little bit and work your way back in. Number 21 for me is the Texas Christian Horned Frogs. Now, TCU, they've always been kind of just like Utah. They've been that team where they start kind of down there, but they somehow find their way into the top 15, sometimes the top 10. A very gritty football team. Unlike a lot of the teams in the Big 12, they usually put out pretty good defenses. And Coach Patterson, he's been pretty consistent with that program down there. But still, though, I feel safe starting him in the late 20s.
Yeah, I understand.
Or in the 20s, I mean, sorry.
Yeah. At the 20 spot for me is Coastal Carolina. As Sean, kind of put them a little lower earlier. Coastal Carolina went undefeated, and anytime you do that, you deserve some recognition. But their crutch is the fact that they play in a non-Power 5 conference. So it's like, are you really that good, or is it your competition? Only time will tell. But they round out number 20 for me.
All right, number 20 for me. And this is where we defer just a little bit. I have the USC Trojans at number 20. So not really too far off, but yeah, I mean, playing less games than a lot of the rest of the teams in the country, work your way back in. But so yeah, that's just a couple spots difference there with the Trojans.
Coming in at number 19 for me is Louisiana University, the Ragin' Cajuns. They finished 9-1 last season, with their one loss being, I do believe, to Coastal Carolina. So, once again, it's a situation where your record deserves some recognition for how good you were. They were a couple plays away from being an undefeated team. So nothing to scoff at there. But once again, your level of competition, are you really what you say you are, or what? So only time will tell with them. But number 19 nonetheless.
Yeah, that's very fair. They played hard. They played hard enough to deserve it. That's for sure. Number 19 for me, and maybe this is where I'm giving them a little too much credit. But at 19, that's where I have the Penn State and Nittany Lions. Again, they played less games than everybody else in the country, and they have some talent in place. They just need to, earn their way back to the top. So, again, you put them at where?
Who are we talking about? We're talking about
Penn State.
Penn State. I had them at number 24 in my poll.
Okay, so I'm giving them a little too much credit, but I could easily see them starting in the.
I mean, they're a Big Ten, so I mean, you can put them. You put them in anything 15 and below. I think it can be justified. So.
Okay. All right. So I have Penn State at number 19. Not too high, but not too low either.
Yeah. Coming in at number 18 is to be a program on the rise, and their destiny is in their hands, and that is the University of Texas Longhorns. Steve Sarkisian takes over for Burnt Orange Nation, and Steve Sarkisian was never really given a fair shot at USC due to some personal issues. And I think that if he would have stayed there, he would have made them a lot better program. So I'm glad that he actually gets another chance at a big name university like Texas. Once again, destiny is in their hand, and I put them at number 18.
Ben, we can just skip right ahead because at number 18, I had the Texas Longhorns as well. That's our first match. Our first match. So yeah, we can move right along. So who do you have at number 17?
17 is the Oregon Ducks, a team that has been consistently good, but just hasn't been able to get quite over that hump. They've had 2 national championship appearances in the last 20 years, so that's very impressive as a program that is not typically known as a very powerful school in football. But losing guys to the draft and their defense taking a little bit of a hit, I have them at number 17.
All right, number 17 for me is the LSU Tigers. Now, LSU, maybe that's a little low to some of you, but still, I think it's a good spot for them because despite what all they have lost, they've still been playing some pretty good football, and they still, like most of the schools in the South, they pull in a lot of great talent. So I think that's a fair spot for the Tigers.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Coming in at number 16 is a team that kind of came out of nowhere last year with Brigham Young. Brigham Young started off the season with a bang, just absolutely blew the brakes off of uh, the Naval Academy, and they were just off and running from the get go. So, Brigham Young finished 10-1 in the season, which is very, very incredible. They went from having only 2 opponents on their schedule to getting, an 11 team schedule because of COVID, which is absolutely incredible. The work their athletic director put in was just absolutely insane, and they finished the year with 10-1 record. So nothing to scoff at there, and
No.
that's why I have them at number 16.
Yeah, and I'm sure he had quite a bit of stress on his mind and a series of headaches. So the Tylenol was probably full in his cupboard. Number 16 for me, I have the Miami Hurricanes. This is a team that's starting to build back up. I mean, the speed is there, the talent's there, and I think 16 is a fair spot, which is usually Miami starts a little higher, but I just think this is a good spot to put them just since they've been kind of not. I wouldn't say disappeared, but they've the flames have started to go out a little bit for the U.
Yeah,
but they're working their way back up.
Yeah. So coming in at number 15 for me is the Oklahoma State Cowboys, a team that beat the U in their bowl game and ended up finishing the season 7-3. Given the Hurricanes one of their only 2 losses in the Cheez-It Bowl. Losing a couple guys to the draft kind of hurt the Oklahoma State Cowboys, so that's why I have them kind of further down the list at number 15. But Van Gundy has just done an absolutely amazing job in a state that is just dominated by the Sooners and keeping the Oklahoma State Cowboys relevant. So they come in at number 15.
Oh, this is where the top 15 we get to the nitty gritty, and this is for me personally, I started taking a few chances here, maybe a little bit out there. But at number 15 for me, I have the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Okay.
Now it's a team, quite a difference from what we both think, but Iowa, they are that team that again that's starting to put things back together. They've got a lot of talent on that football team. They pull in much better talent than what people give them credit for. So I'm going to take a chance and put them at 15 and see what they can do.
I like it. Coming in at number 14 for me is the University of Florida, the Gators. One of the reasons I have them kind of further down the list than I think a lot of people would is due to the fact that they lost 2 of their best offensive weapons to the NFL draft. When you lose Kyle Trask and you lose Pitts, you kind of fall down the rankings a little bit because those were your 2 biggest playmakers on your offense. So now it's time to rebuild a little bit. And they play in the SEC, so the talent is loaded against them. So, with an 8-3 record, still not bad. With a couple of their losses being to other SEC teams that had very, very good records in and of themselves. So can't really give them too much flack for losing those games because that's a toss-up with who would win. But they come in at number 14 for me.
Fair point. Number 14 for me, I have the Arizona State Sun Devils. Now, again, this is where I'm kind of going out there a little bit, but this is a team from in the past when I've watched them, they may not always get, 5-star recruits, but it doesn't matter. I forget do you know who's coaching them right now?
It's Herm Edwards.
Herm Edwards, that's right. Yes, that's right. I completely forgot that. But they've always been a very fast, speedy team, and I don't care how, what stars you have in front of your name, how many stars you have in front of your name, quickness will kill you.
Yeah.
And when even if how do I word this? When people think of quickness, they think, okay, we can be fast, but can you catch the ball? Can you throw the ball? Yes, this is a team that can do that because I know that of course a team can be fast, have all the speed in the world, but if you can't catch or if you can't hold on to the ball, then you're screwed. Hence, Clifford Franklin from the movie the Replacements. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
the Arizona State Sun Devils are the complete opposite of that. This is a team that's been very talented. They've given us fits in the past. Well, actually, they took care of business over us one year. I believe it was that 2016 disaster season.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we know what they're capable of.
Yes.
So that's my pick at number 14.
Number 13 for me is another Big Ten school and kind of a rival, if you will, for Notre Dame in the Chicago area, which is the University of Northwestern Wildcats. Pat Fitzgerald took over in a very unfortunate situation for him becoming the head coach, but the former player that played at Northwestern has definitely made them relevant. They finished last year 6-2, with two of their losses being to very, very good opponents. So once again, like Florida, you can't really fault them for those losses because that could go either way. But they've come in at number 13 for me.
And that's fair too, because I mean, they beat us one year. I mean, yeah, granted, it was a Kelly coaching error that cost us, but even in 2018, they gave us a run for our money. So yeah, very talented football team. Number 13 for me is an opponent who is actually on our schedule this year, the North Carolina Tar Heels. They're us and them are one of the top 10 games of the season for a reason. I mean, this is a team that is becoming pretty well known for its football as well as its basketball, and they've always played us tough. They did beat us one year that was, I believe, 2008. I could be wrong, when we were in Chapel Hill, and so I just think they're a really good football team. So they warrant a spot here in the top 15.
Love it. I love it. Coming in at number 12 for me is another Big Ten team, which is a brother, if you will, of Indiana, which is the Indiana Hoosiers. They had a phenomenal season last year. I don't think a lot of people saw what they did coming. And they were a couple plays away in multiple games, with more wins than they had. So if they can continue the trend, the upward trend, I should say, very well deserved of that number 12 spot.
And I'm telling you, Ben, I had them at number 22, as we previously heard. I'm not going to lie to you. I really wanted to put them that high up, but I just wasn't sure about taking that chance, because when you look at all the other teams, I mean, this is where it gets tough. It gets really, really tough. But at number 12, I also have another Big Ten team there. It's one that we're playing this year, the Wisconsin Badgers, and we will be facing off against them in Soldier Field. What can you say about Wisconsin? They have been a gritty football team for the last several years. They've always been pretty good for the most part. Very stingy defense, to be specific, and a very strong running game too. Those are the two factors of their team that's really carried them to victories and gotten them on the big stage. So it's only fitting that I put them at number 12. I wanted to put them inside the top 10, but I couldn't do that just yet.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, so coming in at number 11 for me is an opponent of Notre Dame this year, and that is the Cincinnati Bearcats. It took Georgia everything they had to beat the Cincinnati Bearcats in Georgia, in the Georgia Dome. So, the Bearcats have an absolutely phenomenal defense. Of course, they lose their defensive coordinator to us, lo and behold. But the Cincinnati Bearcats will still be a very, very strong football team. So they come in at number 11 for me.
And actually, it wasn't. I don't think it was the Georgia Dome. I think they imploded that, didn't they?
Whatever the dome is in Georgia. What is that? That's in Atlanta. What is that dome's name? I don't even know the name now. They've changed the name a couple times. But yeah, it was in Georgia's backyard. So Georgia definitely had the home field advantage for that game. And it took Georgia everything they had. So
Mercedes-Benz.
I got you. Huh? That's the Saints names too. Interesting.
Well, theirs is still called the Superdome, but Mercedes-Benz is the sponsor.
Yeah.
So number 11 we're at, right?
Yes.
Okay. Number 11, lot of people are probably going to hate me for this, but I'm just going by where how the voters vote. I have us at number 11, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and I put us there because I know one of the things that people are going to focus on in the voting committee, they're going to focus on all that we lost and not so much what we still have. And the quarterback situation, absolutely. But the thing is, the quarterback battle, I'm not going to go into a full breakdown of this, but we know it's going to be either Jack Cohn or Drew Pine. And honestly, I think we're going to be fine at whichever one of those guys starts. But like I said, I know the voters are going to focus on what all we lost. And we did lose a lot. There's no question about that, but I don't think they're going to give us enough credit for what we do still have and what the talent that we do have coming in. So I think it was only fair to put us at number 11 and not go complete homer there.
Okay. I see. Coming in at number 10 for me is
here we go.
The first Big 12 team to talk about on my side of things, and that is Iowa State, the Iowa State Cyclones. There's, no pun intended, a little bit of a storm brewing up in Ames. And that is the Iowa State Cyclones. They have been giant killers in the past. They always play pretty much everybody real tough, and I think if they can get their defense in a little bit better position, they will be a very, very hard team to beat this year in the Big 12. So they start my top 10 at number 10.
All right. This is where it gets really fun. Number 10 for me, I have the Florida Gators in the top 10. Now, I know that they lost Pitts. They lost Kyle Trask. I get that. But this is still a team that pulls in talent every year. The thing is with Florida, you're never they don't constantly reload every year. But I think this is one of those years where they could reload no problem, because there's still a lot of talent on that football team, and they've earned their spot to still be in the top 10 and still until someone kicks them out of there. So I'm going to go again, a gut instinct. I think Florida will be at number 10.
I love it. Coming in at number 9 for me, we're going to stay in the Sunshine State, and that is the Miami Hurricanes. I have them pretty high up, and one of the reasons is they only had 2 losses last year, and one of the 2 losses was, of course, to Clemson, which, is no surprise, and then, of course, a very, very close loss to Oklahoma State. They return their starting quarterback and most of their defense, and they start off the year with a dandy against the reigning national champion Alabama Crimson Tide. So that's why I have them in at number 9.
I like it. I really do. Number 9 for me, and this is where we were just off by a couple spots. I have Iowa State at number 9. I have the Cyclones at number 9, as we already discussed, a very balanced team full of talent. And like you said, they've been killing off the Giants, so they've worked their way up this ladder.
Love it. Coming in at number 8 for me is another very well-known SEC team, which is the Georgia Bulldogs. Kirby Smart's kind of on the hot seat right now. Georgia has been pretty good for the last few years. They've had a national championship appearance and a couple SEC title appearances, but they just can't quite get over that hump. But nonetheless, I think that they rebound after kind of a down year last year, and they deserve the number 8 spot.
Interesting. Very interesting. Number 8 for me, and I know you had them down there, but number 8, I have the Oregon Ducks. And what more can you say about Oregon? I mean, this is a team that knows how to pull in talent, and the talent that they do get, they know how to make it work. I mean, and they don't always necessarily get the top guys in the country. I mean, yeah, they have some very respected recruiting classes. Don't get me wrong, but again, just like Arizona State, they speed. I mean, speed kills, and we've seen what these guys can do in the past. So I'm taking a chance. I'm putting Oregon in the top 10 at number 8.
I dig it. I totally dig it. At number 7 is one of the quote unquote top 10 games of the season, which will be the North Carolina Tar Heels. The reason I put them so high, people are like, whoa, North Carolina, number 7, is they return almost their entire offense. People forget that, North Carolina had a very, very potent offense. They gave Notre Dame fits last year. They gave just about everybody that faced that offense fits. Yeah, they lost their two running backs, returned their receiving core and their starting quarterback. So nothing to scoff at there. And the Mac Brown led Tar Heels are going to make some noise this year, in my opinion. So that's why I
Absolutely.
got them at the number 7 spot.
Number 7 for me, it's kind of the same thing with you and putting the Tar Heels high, but number 7, that's where I have the Cincinnati Bearcats. Now, this is a team that's been really good as of late. And as you said, Ben, and I watched it myself, they gave Georgia, they pushed them to the absolute limits, man. It took a last second field goal by Georgia to win that game in the Peach Bowl. And, well, excuse me, Cincinnati is going to be looking to make some noise this year, especially when they come to South Bend. So, and especially with their former head coach being there, and obviously Coach Kelly, and their former defensive coordinator Marcus Freeman, they're I wouldn't say they're actually PO'd about that, but they have something to prove. And what better way to do it than to do it against a couple of your former alum, your former coaching alum, I should say.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I have Cincy at number 7.
Number 6 should be no surprise to most people, like a college football blue and blood through and through, which is the Oklahoma Sooners. The Sooners just took the Gators to school and back in their bowl game this past season. The Lincoln Riley Oklahoma Sooners are just always a high-powered offense. They're that classic Big 12. We're just going to air it out and make you beat us on the scoreboard. But just being that blue blood program and just constant stranglehold in the top 10, they get the number 6 spot.
Awesome. Number 6 for me, and this is where we were just off again by a couple spots. Number 6, I have the Georgia Bulldogs. They're a hard-nosed, gritty team. The talent's there, and they've come close so many times to, well, hell, just a few years ago they were close to winning the national championship over Alabama, and which that was a good game. And Kirby Smart knows how to get it done. He just hasn't been able to, as you said earlier, Ben, get over that hump. So they definitely deserve the spot that they're at. And that to me, that's number 6 to start the season.
So hitting the top 5 for me is another SEC team that, kind of to me was kind of shafted last year when it came to the playoff rankings, and that is the Texas A&M Aggies. I feel like the Aggies are going to have a really big chip on their shoulder this year due to the fact that they didn't get into the playoffs. If you're going by the 2 best teams in the SEC, they should have played Alabama in the SEC championship. Unfortunately, they're in the West with Alabama, so only one of them gets to go to the SEC championship. But this year, they're going to challenge, to me, the Crimson Tide for that SEC West crown. And the Jimbo Fisher-led Aggies, their defense is coming, and they're going to be a very, very powerful football team, in my opinion. So they get number 5 spot for me.
And Ben, I 100% agree with you because I had the Aggies at number 5 too. So we can get right to number 4.
Number 4 for me, people are going to be like, you're being such a homer. You're being such a homer. Number 4 for me is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. One of the big reasons I put them at number 4 is the fact that they returned their running backs. They returned their receivers. They actually get a boost in the receiving core with Braden Lindsey having all systems go. And they don't really take much of a step back because no matter who really starts for the Fighting Irish this year, quarterback-wise, they're not, I wouldn't say quite a veteran, but they're definitely in a veteran more role. And they're not going to be getting their feet wet for the first time. So, Notre Dame is the only team in college football last year to beat the number 1 team in the nation, and that was when Notre Dame beat Clemson. So they get the number 4 spot for me.
All right, I like that. Like I said, I wanted to put us in the top 10. I just I'm just trying to predict of what they're going to do for us, what the voting committee is going to do, and either one could work perfectly. Number 4 for me, that's where I have the Oklahoma Sooners. They've got a lot of firepower on that team. Lincoln Riley knows what he's doing. They've been dominating that conference. So I think they're going to make some noise this year.
Love it. I love it. Number 3 for me is a rival, if you will, of Notre Dame, and that is the Ohio State Buckeyes coming in at number 3. They got to the national championship last year after just an absolute beatdown of the Clemson Tigers. Of course, Alabama blew by them. Alabama blew by just about everybody last year. I think Florida and Notre Dame were really the only 2 teams that gave Alabama any kind of a struggle. So, I think Alabama was just on a whole nother level than most people last year. So Ohio State gets the number 3 spot just because they bring in talent year in and year out. They're on the up and up. They've made that leap with a high-powered offense and a pretty stingy defense. So they get the number 3 spot for me.
And I think I'm pretty confident our top 3 is going to be the same because I have Ohio State at number 3 as well, just pretty much for those exact reasons. I mean, what they were able to do in only 6 regular season games and then make the splash they did in the playoffs, that was pretty incredible. And of course, it led to Justin Fields being selected by my Chicago Bears. That says it all. That says it all about the talent that they have, and I just hope Justin Fields can take that talent to the next level. So, Ben, continue with number 2.
Number 2 for me is Alabama Crimson Tide. That should be no surprise to anybody. Year in and year out, they either get the top spot or the second to top spot. The only reason I have them at number 2 and not number 1 is the fact that they just lost so much talent to the NFL draft. When you lose your starting running back, you lose 2 of your starting wide receivers, you lose your starting quarterback, you lose a bunch of key pieces on your defense. I know Alabama is an NFL factory, but they're coming into an SEC season that I think there are a lot of SEC teams on the up and up. And it's going to be a challenge this year for them. So I give them the number 2 ranking just because there's a lot of uncertainty with, who's really going to step up and be the next great quarterback for Alabama.
That's a fair point, and I think it's safe to say that you and I just simply swapped our number 1 and number 2 picks. Number 2, I have the Clemson Tigers. They lost guys like Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence, but they have the backup DJ Uiagalelei, or however you pronounce it. I think it's just Uiagalelei. But if there's an extra Ungaga in there somewhere, forgive me, but I'm just going to say Uiagalelei. People like to say that, the only reason we won that game in South Bend last year is because Trevor Lawrence didn't play. And look at the ACC title game. Look what happened, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, well, what people fail to remember is DJ Uiagalelei, he put up better numbers than Trevor Lawrence when he played against us.
Yes.
So, I mean, yeah, Trevor Lawrence came and got the job done against us in the ACC title game, but look at what DJ Uiagalelei did in the matchup against us. So It was almost like Trevor Lawrence never left.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is Clemson's one of those teams where they're at a point where they just, hey, they don't rebuild, they reload, and that's the case here.
Yeah. Yeah, and at my number 1 is obviously Clemson. To Sean's point, when you have DJ coming in, you're in more than capable hands with him. He'll be your offensive captain. And the thing that a lot of people forget is James Skalski returned. Instead of declaring for the NFL draft, he is returning for a 5th season to the University of Clemson. So he will captain that very, very stingy defense of the Clemson Tigers. And they don't take a step back on offense this year. When you lose your starting quarterback and you lose your starting running back, people start to say, I think you're going to take a little bit of a step back. Not this year for Clemson. They're in more than capable hands with DJ Uiagalelei and the second string running back that they had that was behind Etienne. So Clemson gets the top spot for me.
And obviously my top spot, like I said, we just switched them around. My number 1 is Alabama. I mean, we've already talked about how great they are. And my simple reason for putting them at number 1 is simply this. If you're number 1, you stay there until somebody knocks you off. And nobody's been able to do that for a while yet. So Alabama gets my top spot.
I love it.
So there you go, everyone. That's our top 25. But we also had a category, as I said at the start, for on the brink teams, and I'll go ahead and start there.
Yeah, go ahead.
You had a lot of teams, Ben, in your top 25 pick that I did not have in mind, or that I did not have in mind, excuse me. And my brink teams are basically all the ones you had. I have Louisiana, the first team on the out looking in, and then I have Boise State, Ole Miss, Oklahoma State, Brigham Young, and Central Florida. That's just all good teams that deserve to be in the top 25. But I just think those other teams are a little bit better and more deserving. But I have a good feeling, though, all these teams that I listed from my brink category, they'll see the top 25 at some point in the season.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, my on the brink, just looking in is some teams that people are like boo boo, but Michigan starts my list, a blue blood program that's just kind of been up and down and just hasn't been able to find their identity. But when you have a name like Michigan, and the tradition and pageantry that they have, it's hard to keep them down forever. So I think they're on the outside looking in, and if they can put together a good season, they have the schedule for it. I mean, you got to play Ohio State, you got to play Northwestern, you got to play, Wisconsin and all that. So you get the opportunities to make a name for yourself. So, they're on the outside looking in. And then University of Wisconsin, I didn't have them in the top 25 like you did, Sean. It's just kind of like, with the shortened season with that they played and all that, to me, they haven't really proved enough. But certainly they will be in the top 25 at some point. And a team that I think a lot of people are overlooking, that's kind of on the up and up, and a lot of people are very impressed with what's going on, and that is the Tennessee Volunteers.
Oh, you just made Big Vol Daddy happy.
They're under a new regime. And everything is all systems go for the Vols. They pulled in some outside talent. They picked up a transfer from Michigan and a quarterback. So they're kind of on the up and up, and I think they're going to make some noise in the SEC. And then kind of two other teams that are kind of not as well known is UAB and Army. Army had a 10-win season last year. People forget that. So, Army's a very, very good team that I think a lot of people don't give enough credit to. And then ending my list is Auburn. Auburn is under also a new regime. They picked up Boise State's head coach in the offseason, letting go Gus Malzahn. And Malzahn moved on to one of the teams on your brink, which is UCF, going further down the pipeline in the South to Orlando in the Knights with Gus Malzahn. But yeah, those are teams that I think will be in the top 25 if they can put it all together and have good seasons. So,
well, all I know has been we will definitely see. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to make this list, and shoot, I didn't think it'd take almost 45 minutes. But hopefully you guys, all of you watching this video, stuck around to the end. But yeah, I don't know.
It's hard.
It's really tough.
You don't know. You really don't know, and that's the thing. I mean,
Well, it's like going back to Michigan. I wanted to put them on the brink. At the very least, I wanted to put them in the brink category, but I got to see them prove something to me first before I give them even a brink status.
To me, Michigan is one of those very, very big wild cards that it's just you wish you could see what's going on behind the scenes at Michigan. Harbaugh continues to get contract extensions, and for the life of us, all of us fans that aren't even true fans of the University of Michigan kind of just scratch our heads at that. So I don't know if he's got something on somebody at the University of Michigan, or they have some stuff coming down the pipe and whatnot. But I just like you, it's kind of a prove it to me situation, because I mean Harbaugh doesn't have a great record, and he doesn't have a great record against rivals. And when you don't have a great record against rivals, people start to get pretty skeptical. So,
and let's just be realistic. If what happened to Harbaugh, what's been going on with Harbaugh, normally coaches would be fired.
Yes, and that's my thing. And like I said, that's why I'm like, maybe you got something on somebody, because I don't think that somebody would last that long at Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, or even Notre Dame, for that matter. So, it's a head scratcher. Although I don't like them,
I wouldn't rule it out.
although I don't like the University of Michigan, if I was a Michigan fan, I would not be happy with the current situation they're in. There is no reason they should be as low as they are. They should be playing as bad as they are, and they're losing games that way, in my opinion. So
it makes perfect sense, man. So, yeah, on that note, Ben, do you have anything else you want to add to this video?
I got nothing. We did an awesome top 25.
I think so too. I mean, not trying to pat ourselves on the back. It's up to you guys, the audience, but I think it went pretty well. So you guys let us know. Let us know what you think of our list. Do you like it? Think it's dog crap or anything we could have done different? So just let us know. And on that note, I am ND Sean 45.
I'm Irish Benjamin 57.
Thank you all for watching. Good night. God bless, and go Irish.
Go Irish.